nice and testing.
Jedi.
That's how welcome to space station.
Always a pleasure to meet you.
And my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You failed your task. I am a Jedi.
It's
I'm
jam
never
right
gonna
there.
stop. Yeah, I'm never going to stop vibing out to our intro music. It's so good. Me sat here editing, like.
Yeah, Bianca
Also,
Club. Thanks, Mark Wolf,
hi.
for that.
Thanks, Mark. We love your music. Hi, everybody. I never go live on our social media platforms. It is always Jimmy and Mike. So this is a nice change. Hi, I'm the mailman for today.
Male person.
Male person. There we go. We love to be inclusive. Hello, explorers. I'm happy to just waffle for a little bit while we wait for some people to join the chat, or if you just want to get into it.
Yeah, either way.
It is Charlie and also wonderful Jimmy over here coming to you live this afternoon, to discuss everything like Lucasfilm handover, Kathleen Kennedy, what's next for Star Wars. And if you're watching and joining us, pop a hi in the chat and we'll make sure we try and get to you.
And just remember, we have like a 15 to 20-second delay over on Instagram for whatever reason. And it looks like Charlie is or isn't wearing clothes. She actually, in fact, is dressed.
I am, believe it or not.
So we're not trying to, be lewd in any way, but we're here to talk some Star Wars. Chuck, what do you think?
I'm here for it, to be honest. Jimmy, are you doing good? Are you excited? How are you feeling about all of this just kind of popping up out of nowhere?
Well, it's nuts because how long have we been dealing with Absolute says, "Hey guys," I feel like I know who that is.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's weird because we've been dealing with these rumors. We've been podcasting here at Explore the Force for, I think this is our 3rd year. Charlie, I know you've been with us for over a year now and you've done some things on your own, but it just feels like this has been in the news constantly. And now it's actually real. I'm not sure how to feel. I'm already kind of sick of some of the people being like, F you, Kennedy, and all that stuff. Like, I'm kind of over that because they do forget that the good stuff that they love, she's responsible for as well. But we'll get into that, I think. But yeah, I woke up to this morning. Some of your text on our on our WhatsApp thing, and I was like, "What is happening?" So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Like you said, I've been Star Wars podcasting for a good couple of years now, and it feels like this discussion has been there from the very beginning since I started. It's always been percolating. It's always been, I don't know, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, 800,000 other suggested people, and to see Lucasfilm announce it, it doesn't feel real. It still feels a bit like a dream.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers. Scotto 4672 says, "May the force be with y'all." Appreciate that, and with you as well, Scotto. Scott 24672 over on Instagram.
Nice. Well, in the wake of the news that officially for real, Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down from her position as head of Lucasfilm to make way for the king, the icon, the legend, Dave Filoni, and Lin Brennan. I was going to try and learn how to say congratulations in Welsh, but it turns out it's actually a really difficult word to pronounce if you're not a native Welsh speaker. So
everything in Welsh is difficult.
Yeah, lest I offend an entire nation of people, I think I'll just pass on that one. So congratulations to you, Lin. I'm extremely delighted.
Yeah.
Deadline gathered all of their stuff together. They've been holding this back, sneakily dropped a very extensive and pretty exclusive interview with the woman who has worked tirelessly to preserve, uphold, and expand on the legacy that was left in George Lucas's care. George Lucas left in her care, even.
Yeah, so we're going to break down some of the things she said in this insightful interview. I can't believe that she talked about some of this stuff. and we want to hear, you can get our reactions. We'd love to hear from you guys. And again, there is a delay, so we'll come back to you on Instagram. I'm watching it here right now. I got one to read, but yeah, feel free to chat us up. In the YouTube is pretty in synced. Instagram, and I don't know if I have Facebook up yet. I'll have to check and see that one. So if you're on the Facebook feed, I apologize. That's new for us, and we're still trying to figure that all out. But Dealing in Absolute says, I kind of didn't think the day would actually come. I love most, if not all, things KK has greenlit, produced, etc. But I'm glad she had such a long run. So, and the thing is, I mean, I don't know how many people looking online before we got on actually feel that way, so we'll kind of get into that. So
So
go ahead, sorry.
no, I didn't mean to cut you off. She kicked off this interview with the one thing that I think everybody wants to ask about, which is Starfighter, and she sneaks some Mando and Grogu and stuff in there as well. So we'll split it up into bits and pieces. Firstly, she was asked on whether Starfighter is meant to be an ongoing series, and our wonderful Mrs. Kennedy said it was envisioned as a single film. Sean Levy just made the experience so pleasant for everybody. We found this 14-year-old kid out of Ireland who had virtually no experience. That's always risky, hanging a story so much on a child actor. You're not exactly sure how comfortable they're going to be. Flynn Gray turned out to be such a special kid.
Nice. Not only was he there with Ryan Gosling, this movie is structured in a way that he kind of a new actor coming in every few weeks, that he was one-on-one with Matt Smith, Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre. That is insane. Like, can you imagine your first acting experience? You're starting off across from Ryan Gosling. You get the Matt Smith, you get Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre, like star-studded cast of the show. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of focus on the kid with the rest of the characters revolving around him. So
yeah, I feel like she actually dropped quite a lot of the plot. Obviously, I know we've been kind of agreeing that it's going to be like Ryan Gosling and this kid. We're getting that like father, like unwanted father, like role, and then a kid, that kind of thing. But I actually think the story is going to be focused around Flynn Gray's character solely, and I wonder if we'll be getting it from kind of his perspective and his storyline, which would be interesting. I know like Skeleton Crew came a lot from the kids, but that's something that seemed to really connect with audiences, so it makes sense that they'd use a variation of that again.
absolutely. Dealing with
And yeah, like
Absolutes says, I didn't realize there was a child actor involved. There's been so much hype around Ryan Gosling that I completely missed that. Yeah. Flynn Gray, I believe, is the little actor's name. Zero experience. This kid's set, man. You get in the Star Wars film, go to our bad. You're set for life, buddy. You'll good. Welcome to the Star Wars universe.
it seems like from like it seems like from more of her comments, she's been really, really impressed with him and the work that he's been able to do. She carried on talking about Starfighter and whether we'll be watching kind of Flynn's character grow up. The interview was really pushing to see if we're getting like a sequel for Starfighter or like a TV spin-off. And she said, we could, but this was designed as a real standalone. With Sean's movie, this could go on, but it's not our intention right now. We made the movie as a standalone story, but you can't ignore the fact that this young actor is so good. I will be very surprised if he doesn't go on and we don't try and see that there might be future stories. But it was kind of nice not going into this and having to think that way. We could just make a movie and tell a story. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that, it's kind of a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. If it's successful, it'll be there. You've got a young actor. You don't have to worry about, hopefully, anything happening to him. I know we've lost some Star Wars actors, getting ready for Ahsoka season 2. And those things happen. Obviously, we don't want someone that young, anything that bad to happen to him. But if he really is this talented, much like the kids from Skeleton Crew, they have themselves a little gold mine there as far as being able to tell these stories as these kids are growing up, and I think there's a real connection and a real benefit to this. I know it wasn't super popular, but Indiana Jones 5, right? Not everyone loved it, but if you're someone my age, my wife's age, because we went together with her younger sister, well, not younger, I mean, they're almost 30, and her husband, and they didn't quite connect with it, but we were like, oh, like, I grew up with Indiana Jones, and now I'm seeing on this tail end, like, to get to follow Flynn Gray and these kids from Skeleton Crew from their first movie or shows, and if we get to continue to see them as they grow up, that'd be really special.
Mm.
really special, I think.
I think also like I think she does talk about this a little bit further on in the
Oh.
interview, but like the popularity of Stranger Things, and
Mm.
even though like these kid actors have grown up, it's still been able to work for the story, and people have been able to kind of journey with these characters as it's gone on. So I don't see why that wouldn't be something they'd want to try and replicate with Skeleton Crew or with this. I think I was surprised how much plot we've been kind of drip fed over the last couple of days. What with like the Tom Cruise story, and now this, where she's talking really specifically about the center point of the story being Flynn, and how good and how talented he is, and how much he seems to have fitted into Star Wars and gets on so well with all of the other actors, and obviously praising Sean Levy for his input as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we have, and I think we talked about this last week. We have so much information about Starfighter that's coming out in 2027,
Yeah.
and we have a movie that's coming out in like 5 months, and we don't know anything about it. So it's kind of bonkers. It is crazy that we have that much information
Hmm.
um, coming out. But I do know that like Sean Levy's used to like getting stuff out there, whereas John and Dave are used to having to hide everything. So that could be part of this, is like they're trying not to get leaks. And I mean, people make a living now trying to like ruin movies for everybody. I'm not
Yeah.
sure why that's a job. Like, just let it come
That's
to
a
us.
rubbish job.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Um, Dearest Eating an Absolute said, I love standalone stories in Star Wars. I feel like we don't get enough self-contained stories, but I wouldn't be shocked if the main characters pop up again in something else. I do feel like that's a nice part of Star Wars. I think they've always, in my opinion, bar a couple of like celebrity cameos, Mandalorian, I'm looking at you. Um, they've done really well with cameos and inserts and surprise characters and background characters and all of this sort of stuff. So that doesn't seem like too far of a stretch. But Jimmy, talking about the movie that's coming out in 5 months, what did you tell us about Mando and Grogu?
All right. So here we go. I'm going to read through this and hopefully don't stumble all over myself. All right. We have the Mandalorian movie with Jon Favreau coming next, which also was great and a completely different Star Wars movie. She continues, that comes out in May. And as soon as I get back into town, I'm sitting down with John and looking at that. The whole time I've been shooting Starfighter, we've been working on effects that are going into that movie. We finished shooting in November. We've had a long post on that. And so I'll oversee a lot of those effects shots cut into John's movies. And I get to, and I'll get myself re-immersed and get that finished, despite formally stepping down next week. That's next week too. Like, I know we're gonna get to that, but next week,
Yeah,
I really thought she
crazy.
was gonna see one of these movies out. Like, I thought it was gonna be at the end of Mando and Grogu, but I get it. Kathleen Kennedy is staying involved in Starfighter and Mando and Grogu until they're finished. So she'll be behind the scenes kind of thing. It
Yeah,
seems both productions have been very closely intertwined, and she's really divided her time between the two. So, yeah, I mean, you say what you want about her running Lucasfilm, and I know not everyone loves her there, and you've had some great things and some bad things, but you cannot. I think, isn't she the highest grossing producer? Maybe Kevin Feige has eclipsed her, but I think
yeah,
that Kathleen, and that's from movies back in the day, E.T. and Poltergeist, I
yeah.
think, and so, you know, just her. I don't know why she still wants to work. I looked her up; she's worth $300 million. Just go enjoy life, man.
Yeah, the rest of the article broke down that she's fully intending to carry on like producing. That's what she loves doing. She loves to make things, and she loves to make things for us moviegoers and movie enjoyers. And she's definitely done that in Star Wars. And what a wonderful, wonderful roller coaster it has been. I'm really, really pleased to hear that even though she's stepping down as the head, she's still involved with kind of her last two hurrahs. Like, she'll stick with them until they're done and they're finished. Really, really interesting that they finished shooting Mando in November and they're going to have it ready for the cinema. Like, obviously, I know with like AI and digital stuff, it's faster and more efficient now, but that's a deadline I would not want to have hanging over me. I'm going to be brutally honest.
Maybe
Oof.
that's why we're not getting much, is because they're so busy working on it. They don't have time, because I mean that consumes a lot of their time. So people like Favreau and Filoni, they're kind of hands on. They're not going to leave it up to somebody else. So we'll see. And then maybe when Kathleen gets involved in that, like she said in this, that that'll free some other stuff up. I mean, we're all assuming that the next big trailer is coming during the Super Bowl in February 8th, I think. So we'll see what happens then. I'm kind of just kind of waiting to see if we get more plot line from that, I guess.
Maybe. Again, if people haven't had a chance to go and like read this interview, it's genuinely really, really interesting. And there were bits relevant to Star Wars that I wasn't actually picking up on in my first couple of reads, shows how much attention I was paying. If any of you went to the cinema last year and didn't see Sinners, the incredible film by Ryan Coogler, you are missing out. It is a sensational piece of cinema, easily my favorite film of 2025. I know Sid slash a dealing in absolutes. Oh, actually, before I get dug into that, we've had somebody, True North Media Company, which I do believe is Dawn, if I'm not much mistaken.
I'm not sure. Says, can someone please explain the concern or disdain about Dave? I really enjoyed this conversation from the animation panel. Oh, you mean it's Beth? It's Beth. Oh, I meant Beth as Japan Celebration. Okay, yeah. It was the
Sorry,
crazy,
Beth.
so crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy story that we both ran into each other, and had someone in common in Star Wars. Is pretty bonkers. But Beth, I will tell you. Can I? All right. So last week on our main show, I talked about this a little bit, and I likened it to a teacher becoming a principal. For me, I'm concerned with Dave taking this role because I don't want him to be wasting his mental energy on business stuff. But I do think that's where Lin-Wen comes in, because she seems like she is like the godfather when it comes to like she's going to be handling things, and Dave's going to be able to continue with the stories. Now, some people don't like Dave. They don't like what he's done with like Ahsoka. They think he should stick to animation maybe, which is weird because lots of people love the animation. I don't know. I mean, I personally don't have any hesitations towards Dave. I was worried about him being consumed by the work of things. Like when a teacher leaves the classroom, it's like, I'm going to change this school for the better now that I have a position of power, and they lose everything that they had to worry about as a teacher is eclipsed by everything they have to worry about as an administrator, and it consumes their lives. And I don't want to see that happen to Dave. But as far as storytelling goes, I think he's amazing. I hope that he doesn't stranglehold, because they talked about what they call cowboy hat Star Wars was a term I heard kicked around a while ago, and I know Dave gets it. Dave's the heir apparent, but he has a lot of people that work for him, a lot of people that help with these stories, and one person can't do all of this. Like you have to, great leaders and great people are surrounded by just as good of people, and they take their time and they take from them. And I think Dave seems like the kind of person that will do that, and he will use the people at his that work for him, and he will use that. So let's just hope for that. But I honestly, I don't know. Charlie, do you have any issues with Dave taking this position?
Not that I can really think of. Like, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Ahsoka, and I'm also not the biggest fan of the animated Clone Wars, but I love Mando and Grogu. I love how deeply passionate he is about Star Wars. Kathleen mentions in another one of the responses that Dave is like her Star Wars encyclopedia. And if there's something that she doesn't know the answer to, she can go and ask Dave, and he will know. And then, like, 3 other people will also pop up who also know, but in more detail. And he has this network of people around him that really know the product, really, really know the story, pay attention to the details. And Dealing in Absolute said, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Dave. I think he hyperfixates on his characters a little too much for me to enjoy. That is one thing I can maybe agree with. It feels like there are certain aspects of his storytelling where it's solely focused on one single character because that's who he loves and who he's really passionate about. And if I'm being really picky, I'd probably like to see slightly less references to wolves. Like, I know there are 2 wolves inside you, Dave Filoni, and both of them love Star Wars. We know.
He does have an obsession. Absolute obsession with wolves. I mean, he's from I like the fact that he lets that bleed into it, but yeah, I mean, I thought Ahsoka season 1 was going to be all about Ahsoka, and it was basically Rebels season 5, so that's good. but Ahsoka is his baby. He helped create
Hmm.
her. But yeah, I can see why people. I guess it's hard for me to see that because I had pure disdain for Ahsoka when she first appeared in Clone Wars movie, but then as we grew with her, I mean, I have a hard time, I guess seeing that. But I also see why people would think, um, exactly what dealing with absolutes and what you think, Charlie, is that he hyperfixates on these characters. Now he is hyperfixated on the Rebels crew, so we'll see where that goes. Is he going to let Thrawn really be a bad guy? Because they haven't let Timothy Zahn really write him as a bad guy anymore. The new books,
Well,
he's kind of been, he's like the space Sherlock Holmes, and he doesn't really he like saves everything. He doesn't really destroy things or isn't like, taking the world over. So we'll see, I guess.
quick shout out to Ren Respawn, who's joined our chat on Instagram. Hello, my lovely. I hope you're doing okay. Now, I will go back to talking about Sinners. If you have not seen Sinners, if you have not watched it, if you have not had the pleasure of watching it, go and do because it's an absolutely fantastic film. It seems that somewhere along the line, Kathleen Kennedy had a conversation with director Ryan Coogler, and she said, "Oh, trust me, Mike." Speaking to the interviewer, this is a big part of what I've tried to do. Sit with the people that I would love to see step into this space and create something that we've never seen before. But Star Wars isn't really Ryan's thing. The trickiest thing is to find a filmmaker and say, you can step into this space and you can still be you. I have no idea what a Ryan Coogler Star Wars film would look like, but I bet it'd be incredible. I bet it'd be the most artistic, moving, interesting thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and especially the fact that, the last time someone wasn't a Star Wars person, we got Andor seasons 1 and 2.
Exactly.
We got the ending of Rogue One from someone who doesn't really into Star Wars. Ryan Coogler tells good stories.
Yeah.
He definitely has a certain type of stories he tells, which I don't think would be necessarily be bad. Like,
No.
he focuses, and I think why not? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want this to sound wrong, but like, is he coming in for like something with Lando or something like that? You know what I mean? I know that in this she'll talk about a little bit later that they do have some stuff for Lando that would be in his
Mm.
wheelhouse. I still think he can tell terrific movies. Like, I'm not saying he has to do that, but if you look at like, the movies he's made
Yeah.
that have been very popular, they're set there with a lot of African American actors and things like that. And it seems like, that's the culture that he kind of works with. And I'm like, bring it to Star Wars, man. If you think about Lando in 1980, being the only black guy in space, basically, and then we'll be able to have a movie by Ryan Coogler. Absolutely. Especially like I don't like scary movies, but I really want to watch Sinners.
Oh,
So,
it's
um,
amazing.
but I've enjoyed the Black Panther series. Even the second one, which was a little ropey, but I liked it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm here for it. I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, I don't know
Yeah,
how is this just now coming out?
I love the idea that she's reached kind of such a top of the pile that she can sit there with her little celebrity Rolodex and go, I'm going to invite Ryan Coogler, David Fincher, Vince Gilligan, Alex Garland over for lunch, and we're going to talk about Star Wars. These are also people she's been speaking to about Star Wars projects. If people don't know, David Fincher, director of Seven, Gone Girl, Fight Club, really, really influential and kind of cult director. Vince Gilligan is responsible for Breaking Bad. If you've not watched Breaking Bad, what are you doing? Some of the best television to ever be created. And even Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina, which is a brilliant film with Oscar Isaac in, 28 Days Later, if you like your zombie films, and others where the minute you say their name, she says, oh, that might be an interesting Star Wars. What a wonderful position to be in as a creative, having access to minds and ideas and just the networking of it all. I think that's so beautiful that she's gotten so comfortable in the landscape of Star Wars that she can just sit back and be like, what would this look like? She gets to play the hypothetical game.
Yeah, so Dealing with Absolute says Ryan Coogler film. This is all in caps, by the way, so she's screaming. You may be able to hear her downstairs, Charlie.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler Star Wars film, please. More black characters, actors in Star Wars, please. All right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it needs to happen, given poor Lando in 1980 all by himself. True North Media says it's so good, a little slow at the beginning. I'm assuming she's talking about Sinners and
Mm.
into a Star Wars thriller dealing with Absolute says. I love that she's so open. It's weird though, because I'm about to rage on our next part of this.
Oh.
She has all these people that she's talking to, but her next statements, it's like she's afraid to use any of it,
Mm.
right? Like, I mean, can I jump into the Dawn of the Jedi stuff?
Yeah, jump away. I know you've been waiting for this, so have at it.
I warned them ahead of time that I was gonna get a little feisty about this because I am I'm kind of pissed about it, to be honest. Dawn of the Jedi, James Mangold and Beau Willimon wrote an incredible script, but it's definitely breaking the mold and it's on hold. Mangold's is really on the back burner. I think she goes on to say something like, if people are willing to take a risk, like whoever's next and all this stuff, like take a risk with Star Wars. You've got to make it relevant. You've got to do something to shake it up. Like, we love Star Wars, but I think if you put a Star Wars movie and a Marvel movie up against each other, the Marvel movie would kill the Star Wars movie right now.
Mm.
And I hate saying that. And I enjoy Marvel. Like, I'd go see both, maybe in the same day. But we need something new. Go get it. This is the Dawn of the Jedi. Like, this is what, if you didn't want to do this, then don't bring him out on stage in London, right? Like, why are you afraid of it now? Well, what did you think was going to happen? You've got to do something. I mean, just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again is not working with the movies. Like, I like the sequels, but given the news that's coming out about what they're doing with Galaxy's Edge,
Oh.
and we'll talk about that this weekend, but you got to do something. And I know I see, what did she say? I don't blame her for being a little apprehensive, but they need to be taking these leaps. Yeah. And I agree with you, Sid, that they do need to take these leaps. And I can understand it. But she's got thick skin. She's been getting roasted since 2014 or 15, since those movies come out. And I don't feel like she cares what, giant man babies and stuff like that, and movie haters care. I don't really feel like she cares about that. Do I think she has an agenda? And I've said this before. Yes, I absolutely do. She's in a position to do it. That's fine. Make good films. Take a leap. What's the worst? I mean, the people that don't like you aren't going to like you regardless of what you do. You can make the best Star Wars movie ever under her, and they're still not going to like her, right? But you can take a chance and just change things. Look how well it worked for Marvel when they did like WandaVision and they did She-Hulk. I know they weren't super well received, but it broke things up a little bit and it made things different, and it brought people in. It brought different people in. We got the first Middle Eastern character or Muslim character? I can't remember. Maybe both. Like, those aren't bad things. And I know I don't necessarily live in the right country for saying things like that out loud right now, but it's okay. I don't understand why it's really on the back burner. Like, this was supposed to be. I am super pissed about this. If I'm being perfectly honest, that this is on the back burner. This should be up front, ready to go. Like, this could start, you've 25,000 years prior. So even if you did something that you didn't necessarily love, you have 25,000 years of time of storytelling to change it. Do you know what I mean? Like, something major could happen 15,000 years from the Phantom Menace or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're like stuck, whatever you do. I mean, I get the pressure from it. I understand there's pressure to do this, right? A creation story basically for Star Wars and the Force. Like, yeah, but you greenlit this project. You got to go for it.
So I have a bit of a theory about why all of this has kind of played out the way it has, and I will get to that when we've kind of gone through the rest of these, but hold that thought, everybody. Hold that thought. Nick Bakewell says, there are reports that Filoni didn't like Andor, which makes me worry we won't see more projects with that type of depth and subtlety. Fair point.
That's the cowboy hat Star Wars thing that I was talking about. Like, I had heard reports that he was mad that Andor was made. I hope that's not true. But I share Nick's concern that if they did, if he really was, like, what kind of story are we just going to get? These like animated level live action stories where it's not a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot of substance behind it, and like, you know, depth
Mm,
and subtly, like they said, like I I share Nick's concern,
mm.
if I'm being perfectly honest. Clan Brandon Lawrence says, "Oh, yeah. What's up, Brando?"
Well, hey Brando, I hope you're doing okay, my dude. Side note, thank you for being such an absolute ledge at the moment and listening to our podcast and sharing so much about us. It means the world. You're a sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you very ever so. We have more updates about more Star Wars films, guys. Does anybody remember Blow the Dust Off? Taika Waititi's untitled Star Wars film. She said, Taika has turned in a script that I think is hilarious and great. It's not just my decision, especially when I've got a foot out the door. Right. Some context for this. Apparently, according to this interview, this retirement and handover has been being planned for 2 years. That's how long it has taken to set all of this up, put all of this in place, line everybody's ducks up in a row, and go, now I'm ready to step over and give you this.
Yeah, I think
I'm
people on
really, I
no,
think, sorry, so
no, go
sorry. I
ahead,
think
Charlie,
that's
sorry.
why we've had less and less and less kind of not quality Star Wars, but meaningful moving forward Star Wars that isn't like tying up the end of Rebels or tying up the end of Clone Wars. I think she's done a lot of work to put a lot in place for moving Star Wars forward, and I think it's understandable why some things are on the back burner and some things are pushed back because it's not the time yet, and it's not her decision to make because she's not going to be there long enough to see those decisions through. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think people underestimate how long, let's see, Ahsoka season 36 under Filoni. Yeah, maybe,
Ah,
right? Just lives
yeah,
forever. Yeah, that would be a problem. I feel like I don't know if Dave has kids or not, like with his I don't know if he's like a father or not, but like, you know, he's created this thing and I'm sure he's gonna have a very hard time letting go of it. But what you were saying, Charlie, like I think people think, oh, this all you do, it's your new job. Like it's not like stepping into a new classroom or stepping into a new office job. Like you're running Lucasfilm. You know, there does have to be a pause, and that would make sense to me why there has been a pause and there's been some delay. I don't want to say this. I think she's kind of hiding behind this a little bit though too.
yeah,
If I'm being perfectly honest, I think she's, you know, she wants everyone wants to have a legacy and I know she doesn't necessarily care about what people say, but she does want to have a positive legacy at Star Wars, at Lucasfilm. But you take someone like Dave Filoni, that's fine because he does all kinds of crazy things. It's Lin-Wen Brennan that you're pulling her out of what she's doing. She's
hmm,
basically running Star Wars just underneath Kathleen Kennedy. Well, that means you have to bring people up. You had to like one person moves up. There's a bunch of people who are going to have to move up, and they have to get those people all in line. They all have to
yeah,
learn the next person's job. You know, they've got to be shadowing. I don't know how long that takes. You start sharing responsibilities. Um, it's not just like, oh, hey, the job's yours. See ya. You know, it's not that
yeah.
simple.
It's not as simple as that. No, I think that's an important point to raise. Clan Brando says, I feel like Dave is going to have to step up and take this new responsibility, so they may be more selective on directors. We will see. Yeah, I wonder if with greater responsibility, it would end up becoming kind of they stick to similar directors who've done stuff with Star Wars before, a more limited kind of collection. Whereas Kathleen Kennedy, I feel like, has more of those industry connections. Obviously, I'm probably downplaying kind of Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen's contributions here, but I don't know. It just feels a little. It's going to be different, I think, and I think the way we get Star Wars, what kind of Star Wars we get, will shift for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, I don't know how it wouldn't. They're going to do what they're comfortable with, and then they're going to. That's what makes me nervous about Dawn of the Jedi. Like, if the script is so mold breaking, and that's kind of the rumors behind Solo is that they were doing things, and I know there were supposedly they were wasting a lot of money on things like that, but people weren't real thrilled about what was going on. They, you know, that whole. I mean, I think it was a great movie, but it suffered because you know, she wasn't willing to take that risk. I'm glad the movie we got. I don't know if I would have liked the one that, you know, those two were doing, but yeah, I don't know. And then Taika Waititi thing was we were talking about. When did they announce that?
Hmm.
That was prior to London, wasn't it? Or was it after London? Was it a
I
D23 thing?
I think it was a London D23 thing. I'm not 100% sure.
Because all it was like the Star Wars logo in like purple, yellows, and greens. Like it had a weird, like
Yeah,
kind of silly looking font, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome." And I think again, I just think like go for it, like a funny Star
yeah,
Wars. Like, what's wrong with that? I mean, people want different things, and if you know, and again, like I know most positive podcasters and YouTubers and the friends of ours are like, it's a buffet, man. You're not going to love everything that's on that buffet.
yeah,
You know, so maybe that's not for you, but maybe there's someone out there who just really needs a funny Star Wars movie, to
yeah.
get hooked. I don't know. So,
Speaking of what would probably be another comedy, Donald Glover's Lando series, which I thought was cancelled. I'm going to be brutally honest and hold my hand up and say I genuinely thought that one was cancelled. She said Donald Glover has turned in a script. I think the ones by Taika and Donald are still alive. That's going to be up to the new team to figure out. Ah,
I don't wanna get too bogged down too much in the politics of this, but I also think that going from Bob Iger to Bob Chapek, then back to Bob Iger hasn't helped us at all because you get these, powerful people in positions, they have their own visions. I mean, it's just like when a new government takes over, right?
hmm.
The new, it's, well, this is what I think is best for the company. That stuff may not fill it. So that could be part of it. But again, she's she's famous for doing this kind of stuff and then never delivering. Now she doesn't have to deliver. So I feel like she's putting Lin-Wen and Dave kind of in a tough spot. Like, hey, all
Yeah.
this stuff's there. What are you going to do with it? Because I was too afraid to do anything with it.
Well, she spoke directly about like the industry and risk taking, and I find this quite interesting given sort of how Star Wars has been over the last couple of years. She said, "Right now we're in an era where companies are so risk averse, and I get it. Completely agree with that point. I hear all the conversations. They've got Wall Street to please, and I get it. But I also believe that that's what contributes to things disappearing ultimately. I just think you have to take those chances. Everything I just reeled off to you is a bit of chance because none of those filmmakers are just walking in trying to do the same old, same old. I'm excited by that, but the studio's nervous about that, and that's where it sits at the moment. I do think it's been this constant back and forth between Kathleen, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, Disney, Lucasfilm, because even though Disney owns Lucasfilm, Lucasfilm still exists as a kind of a separate entity, and there's this push and pull and back and forth. And I'm sure if Kathleen Kennedy had her way, all of these films would have been done, dusted, sorted, finished by now. It would be everything would be moving and in motion and going. But instead, I can imagine it's the studios that have turned around and been like, it's not going to make us any money. I don't know. It feels like a tough spot to be in.
I feel like movie executives are so out of touch with
Oh,
fandoms. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that's one thing about having Dave there that'll be good, but is he just gonna get frustrated because Bob's like, I don't see how Ben Solo could be alive. You know what I mean? Like not having any kind of imagination. Like these people, don't get me wrong, they're obviously very intelligent, they're very good business people, but sometimes those people lack, like they can see money and dollar signs and they can follow this pattern, but they're are they risk takers? Are they visionaries? You know, are they willing to take this risk? I mean, think about why can't I think of his who's the guy who took the risk with George Lucas that backed him? Has the crazy beard. I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh. But anyways, like nobody was touching George Lucas, and this guy's like, this is gonna be a thing. And I'm really embarrassed that I can't think of this guy's name right off the top of my head. But um ended up being like,
Oh, Brando, this is a good one. Jimmy, we have a quote for this, I think.
oh yep, go ahead.
Well, Clan Brando said, I guess I haven't talked to you guys about it. Do you want the hunt for Ben Solo? Now, unfortunately, my phone has died, so I will not be able to see Sydney screaming in the comments about this. This, I feel like I need to take a minute. This is probably the biggest thing to come out of this interview. As far as we were aware, up until the point that this interview was released, the hunt for Ben Solo was cancelled. Done, dusted, finished, over, done with. And she says, as you have read, wink, wink, because we all knew, Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver turned in a script written by Scott Burns. It was great. anything's a possibility if somebody's willing to take a risk. And in regards to being on the back burner, which she was talking about the Dawn of the Jedi, she also said, as is Soderbergh's, what do you mean of the hunt for Ben Solo's on the back burner? Excuse me? What do you mean all it took was 4 billboards? A spoonerism. Billboards in Times Square for someone somewhere in Lucasfilm to go, yeah, pop that out the back for somebody. Be there.
Yeah, I mean, that should show you that people like, if you think about the stuff that Leslie Headland said in that last interview about the power that some of these podcasters and YouTubers have, and even they want the Ben Solo film.
Yeah.
Like, some of the people who hate on Star Wars and make a living hating Star Wars want this film. I don't feel like that's a risk at all. I got to read some of the stuff from Dealing with Absolutes. Without getting into, this is a little bit before that, but without getting too into the politics side, movie executives are definitely catering to a specific audience. Yeah, we've read that and seen that. You're not wrong there, Sid, which is why it feels like they're doing the safest route ever for each film, which, yeah. And then in all capital letters, yes, we want a Ben Solo film. We need Ben Solo. The door is open for Ben Solo. So she is, I think I know one person will show up for the Ben Solo film for sure. But yeah, I mean, again, like, it to me, and I've been kind of neutral on Kathleen, right? Like, I see the good stuff she does. I'm not one of those fans who's like, well, I love her unconditionally or I hate her regardless of the good stuff she's done. Like, I'm kind of in the middle. But this article, and I'm glad she's telling us this stuff, but man, she kind of seems like a coward to me a little bit. But again, in fairness, you don't know if the stories are true that she went with Driver and Soderbergh and tried to get this made and they said no, then she's not being a coward. Like, she's trying to do different things, but it just, I mean, all these different things, they just keep stacking up. And it's like, well, if someone takes a risk, or this is breaking the mold, or this is here, I don't know. It's a little frustrating as we're going through it. And again, I don't know if Dave's the kind of guy who's going to take these risks.
I'd like to think so. I feel like he pushed the studio in some really interesting directions with Mando and Grogu. I don't think Star Wars was expecting to have another like kind of zeitgeist grasping trend that Grogu was. Like, Baby Yoda was huge on a scale that I don't think even Disney kind of execs and marketing professionals could have been able to predict. Like, for all of their flip charts and all of their graphs, and nobody could have predicted it going that way. And that was Star Wars taking a risk by producing a TV show that was trying to emulate the same vibes as the original trilogy and the original movies, where it was for kids and for adults and for kind of everybody to sit down and watch and enjoy. Turns out we're all absolutely obsessed with it. So I think if there's someone, I don't know, I guess I would also theorize that, not to put it into this kind of box, but like the majority of movie execs are old white guys sat in offices. Like, we all saw the Barbie movie. We know it. And Kathleen Kennedy up against that, as far as I remember, she actually did greenlight the Ben Solo project. She was like, yes, let's do this. Let's go ahead with this. And it was Iger and Chapek who were like, no. It was Disney who said no. And that is so deeply frustrating to me because, like you said, there are so many other points here where it feels like risk could have been taken. But I also think a studio picking itself up after the pandemic into some of the biggest writing and acting strikes we've ever seen in the history of filmmaking, that's a lot to pull yourself up from. And the impact that it had on shows like Andor, especially, it's not been easy. But
they get paid millions and millions of dollars for, though.
Well, this is very, very true. I suppose maybe I'm being a little soft.
I mean, I get it. I understand hesitation, things like that. But think about this. You telling me that during the writer's strike, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, all these creatives just stopped working? They just stopped? I feel like if anything, it gave them time to take a breath, rethink some of these things. You could have had the perfect outline done in those months that were leading into the strike, or the strike was happening. You could have come out of the gate swinging if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe.
I feel like
I
I know
feel
they probably couldn't have official meetings, but they're all friends.
yeah, I
You could
suppose.
sit there
What's
and
like
text like,
a
"Hey, like, this is what I'm thinking," or you telling me John and Dave didn't go out to have lunch, or they didn't meet for lunch and just chat, like, "Oh, this is crazy, this is ridiculous." You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is
maybe.
happening. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that anyone took any time off because, like, even on a day off for me and for us, like, we're always still trying to create things and do silly stuff for Star Wars and for the podcast, and we are nowhere near as creative as these human beings. And it's not our full-time job, so I just think it's bonkers. But I get where you're coming from too, Chuck, because it is a little scary and you're talking about that, but if you're worth $300,000,000, so a movie blows up, and like, "All right, I'm out." You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world. It's not like, you're on a teacher's salary or something like that, and if you screw up, like, yeah, you'll be in trouble, but so, I don't know. Um, I'm gonna read the stuff from Dealing with Absolutes, and I'll let you read clan stuff after this, but, I'm glad she's saying these things, but it's riling me up how much is on the back burner. Agreed, Sid. Just don't
Mhm.
give Ben Solo to Dave. Ahsoka will end up finding him, and they'll end up falling in love. They're a
Ooh.
multi-billion-dollar company. They can do what they want, as she says. I like it. I like it.
The way you read out her comments is so accurate to how she speaks words at me. I need you to understand that.
I can't wait to meet her in person someday. It'll be awesome.
Ah. So Clan Brando popped in and said, Simon Kinberg trilogy. Yes. Starfighter is a standalone film that leads into the Rey trilogy. First episode is the
I don't know what that is. THFBS? If you're there, if you're
Hunt for
still
Ben
here,
Solo. The Hunt for Ben Solo.
the
My
hunt for
bad. My
oh
bad.
my gosh. Good call, good
Second is
call.
explore the new threat. Ben and Ray come together. Third shows. So she did talk about the Kimbo trilogy, which I also keep forgetting is a thing. Maybe call me a bad Star Wars fan, but I
I
I
will
don't
not
really remember.
I will not call anyone
She
a bad
said
Star Wars fan.
she said he's working right now. It just images of Kimberg just at a desk by a candle, just scribbling away. He wrote something that was read in August and it was very good, but not there. We've pretty much upended the story and then spent a great deal of time on the treatment, which he finished literally about 4 weeks ago. If people don't know, treatment is like the document you submit alongside the script to be like, this is how I want it shot, this is the people I want, this is this, and this is this. A very detailed treatment, like 70 pages, and so he's expected to give us something again in March. David and Linwin are very much on board with what Simon's doing, so that would be a new trilogy. In the timeline of things, that takes you well into 2030 plus. So that's really what's up next. This is what I mean. I feel like she's setting, I don't mean to use Super Bowl analogies, she's setting that playing field up for a home run. Like it's going. It's going, it's doing stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't argue that it feels like she's stepping out of the door just as it's starting to open up.
I mean, how old is she? Do we know? Do we know how old she is? Like, I mean, at a certain point, people wanna retire and they wanna stop being I mean, I can't imagine I mean, I know it's a hard
Uh,
life, but
the icon is 72 years old.
okay. So she's 72. I mean, that's 7, 8 years past retirement age.
Yeah,
And I get it, it's not like a physically demanding job, but mentally, can you imagine the toll it's probably taken on her? Just you know what I'm saying? Like, what good and bad,
maybe.
just flying
But
back
she
and forth
seems
and
just as enthusiastic about carrying on producing
yeah.
and contributing to film. She also did speak in the interview about kind of highs and lows, and the section where she speaks about her lows in Star Wars is longer than her section about the highs. But I don't know. She doesn't regret her choices. But speaking of things she does regret, this is the last little bit of the interview that I wanted to bring up because I want to know how you felt about this, Jimmy, specifically. She was asked on something she regrets in her time with Star Wars. Oh, he's raging. She said, no, I don't really have any regrets. Well, maybe a bit of a regret about Solo. I brought Larry Kasdan in and we were so excited about that idea. And then when you're into something and you realize fundamentally and conceptually, you cannot replace Han Solo, at least right now. And she carried on to say about Alden Ehrenreich, as wonderful as Alden was, and he really was good and is a wonderful actor, we put him in an impossible situation. And once you're in it and once you're committed, you've got to carry on. I think I have a bit of a regret about that, but not the movie making and the filmmaking. I just think that conceptually we did it too soon. Listen, you're gonna. I know we might fall out over this, Jimmy, but I kind of have to agree with her. I feel like that's a level of foresight that was missing when we'd barely recovered from the Rise of Skywalker. Like the sequel, the dust from the sequels had hardly settled, and all of a sudden it's a brand new story about one of the most kind of important and most what's the word I'm looking for?
Iconic?
One of the most kind of lived vicariously through characters in Star Wars. Like so
Mhm.
many guys who've watched Star Wars, Han Solo's their dude, my bro, my guy, my number one, my big fat man crush. It so much of the Star Wars fandom is centered around Han Solo and what an iconic character he was, and it felt like it wasn't the time, it wasn't the moment for it. Rogue One, maybe. Rogue One was a slightly different story, but Solo, it felt too soon.
Well, I don't understand why it didn't come out at Christmas time. Give it a year, right, for things to calm down. They didn't
Hmm.
promote it. They used Denny's to promote Solo. Like, come on. Like, that tells you right there they cashed in on it. Like, they just gave up. What does she mean by fundamentally, conceptually, you cannot replace Solo right now? Like, talking like AI? Like, you're gonna make a movie when an AI is better and you can have a generated no, 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 no. Alden was not trying to replace Harrison Ford. He was portraying the character, and if we'd have gotten the other two movies that we were supposed to get, you're gonna see this journey into this scoundrel that he was supposed to become. But if you
Hmm.
think about it, everyone wants to talk about what a scoundrel Han Solo was. In a matter of like 2 days, he goes from being a scoundrel to coming back and saving the day. He's not a scoundrel. As much as everyone in the universe, in the Star Wars universe, wants to be like, "Oh, Han Solo was a really bad guy. You know, he was a smuggler." No, like if you just take the movies that we got with him in it in the
Hmm.
original trilogy films, that dude was not a scoundrel. A scoundrel would have dropped those people, would never have shown back up, they would have been Jude Law's character. That's a scoundrel. That's a pirate.
Yes.
That's a smuggler. Han Solo is not that. And if you don't like this movie, just go look at what the stuff he does in the original trilogy. A scoundrel doesn't volunteer to go to Endor to defeat the Empire a second time. A scoundrel doesn't say, "Well, it's bigger. It's got to be a way to blow it up. Here we go again." That's not what a scoundrel does. So people need to get over it. He's a good guy who was working and trying to, things didn't work out with his lady love, and he's kind of he's floundering through the universe. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. And he's living the life he has to live. Shooting Greedo, that's called survival in the galaxy. That's not being a scoundrel. That's not getting yourself blasted by an Imoidian or whatever. Not an Imoidian. What are they? What are those things?
Radiance.
Yeah, Rodian. So this really, she doesn't understand Han Solo. Then there, I've said it.
Ooh. See, I think Brando's point's really interesting. He said, did she mean they couldn't replace him in a new show because he just died in The Force Awakens? I do wonder if that's what she's trying to get at, just not in the most kind of direct way. Like it was only 6 years. It was only 6 years since we'd all had to kind of process the death of one of the biggest Star Wars characters and one of the most well-known and iconic. I don't know. I
And
almost wish they'd been the other way around. I wish we'd had Rogue One first and then Solo.
well, that's how it went.
Was it? My bad.
Yeah.
I get mixed up. Excuse me.
No, you're fine. I get it. I think that Solo suffered a lot from the pushback of the fandom menace when it came to being pissed
Mm,
about The Last Jedi. I think they should have pushed it to December, Star Wars time. I mean, I was not sad about, but one flop isn't that bad. Like,
no.
you made 2 billion off of The Force Awakens. You made $1 billion plus off of Rogue One. You've made $1 billion plus, almost 2
Yeah.
billion off of The Last Jedi. So you had one movie that broke even. Not everything that you make is stellar. Like, you can't, think about like Iron Man, right? With Favreau. Like, I think it was the second one that kind of like didn't do great, but they had a mission, they had a plan, they stuck to it. Kevin Feige did, and now look at the state of Marvel. People may be mad
Yeah.
about Marvel and blah 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 blah, but they are making money hand over fist.
They
So
are indeed.
I'm sorry this one makes me so mad. Obviously, we all know I probably can't think objectively about this movie, and when people bash it,
Fair.
I get pretty upset about it. Um, I think Brando said it too. Having two directors, like if you would have brought Ron Howard in with Larry Kasdan, I think that would have been a pairing made in heaven, match made in heaven. Movie writer, and then someone who's been around
Yeah.
Star Wars and movies for as long as Ron Howard has been. That's why I want Solo 2 to happen so badly. Let Bryce come in and do that
Yeah.
film. Like, I think they've turned their back on Alden and those characters too quickly, and sometimes things take a while to grow. And I don't know, like I know, like again, I have a soft spot for this film. I have a soft spot for the actors and the friends that we have that are in this, but um I also think that people want to, we talked about fantasizing and things like that about Han Solo. Like, if you look at him in the original trilogy, he's really not a scoundrel.
No.
He's surviving the galaxy the best way he can, and I think people, and this is the first time I've actually said this out loud. I think people just misinterpret what Han Solo is and who he is.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie gets it right, because you think about what Kira says, you're not the bad guy, you're the hero. Right? She says that to him. Larry Kasdan understands Han Solo. Like, you're not the bad guy, Han. You are the good guy. You're just kind of pushing back on it a little bit, because you want to be the bad guy. All guys want to be the bad guy. We want to be the girls like the bad boy or whatever kind of thing, and we all want to be that, I guess. But yeah, I'm pretty fired up about this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but this comment, Jimmy, got to think too. Lando could very well include Alden/Han. Why not?
I would be here for it.
Why not?
I think it should. I think they all worked really well together. I thought you sit there and you can watch them grow up together and then turn into those,
Mhm.
you have a big falling out. There needs to be a bigger falling out than what was in that movie.
Yeah.
But you could have built to that in two more movies pretty easily. I just think they gave up, and they had one bad movie, and I mean, they had one movie that didn't perform as well as they wanted, because Disney themselves did not promote it. They did not give it the chance it needed. They went to
Mm.
Denny's for stuff. Like, come on. If you think back to the, I know this is more about Kathleen Kennedy than Solo, but um, I'll just leave it. I think Disney didn't help themselves. They should have spent a little bit more money. They should have pushed it to January, or to December, and they would have been fine.
Mhm.
And people would be like, "Oh, Solo," and we'd be getting ready for Solo 2 to come out soon.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, wishful thinking. No, I'm both fascinated, frustrated, delighted by this interview. It feels like she's saying so much, but also saying kind of absolutely nothing at all. I'm going to be really, really curious to see what comes out of the Super Bowl. I'm going to be really, really curious to see what comes out of Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim next year. I feel like if we don't start seeing some movement soon, I don't know. I wonder if we'll get a new Star Wars trailer attached to the Mando and Grogu film, Maybe.
Well, there has been precedent the last 2 years previous that in January will be something new is announced, right?
Yeah,
Because so we haven't heard that yet. So maybe there's something coming. Maybe,
maybe.
who knows?
Maybe another Tales of series
Yeah.
or
But yeah, this interview was, I mean, I don't want to, this is very Kathleen Kennedy-esque. I mean, this is basically
yes.
everything she's done to us and why people are so frustrated with her. And as a leader, not as a woman, but as a leader, like, she needs to have thought about these things because I really feel like
Yeah.
she's kind of setting Lin-Wen, and because she's the one who's gonna take the brunt of it, not Dave, right? Because of the world we live in, she's gonna take the brunt of it. She's kinda set those 2 up for either super success or super failure, because everyone
Mm.
knows that all this stuff is sitting out there, why aren't we getting it? You know? And so, I just I don't know, this seems very stereotypical of the stuff she's done over the years, announce all these things, we get nothing, announce all these things, we get nothing, and now everything they have announced at, London, have we've got the TV series, we haven't gotten the movies, have we?
Yeah.
'Cause what they announced,
No,
they
we've
announced
had no
Dawn of the
movies.
Jedi, Filoni's movie, and Rey's movie, and we don't know anything about any of those, we know they're on the back burner. We know we're waiting for some, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's
Mm.
kind of frustrating. Maybe it is time for her to go, and the fact that maybe Lin Wen will pull the trigger a little bit harder, that this is what we're gonna do, Dave, and then we'll, I don't know. Like I mean, Lin Wen's been super successful as an
Yeah.
executive for Star Wars, for Lucasfilm, sorry. And, you know, I hope she's not hindered by the business side of things too much. And I'm assuming her and Dave probably work pretty well together and have been working together
Yeah.
for years, but it could be a perfect combination, or this may blow up terribly.
Who knows? I would like to think that given it's taken them 2 years to settle on this, whilst there have been rumours swirling left, right, and centre for the last 2 years about who on earth is going to replace Kathleen Kennedy, including theories of people saying that, well, they're just going to shut down Lucasfilm entirely because it's been such a flop. Like, I don't know. Have we got any more comments from our Instagram, Jimmy? I've not been able to check.
Dealing with absolutes has said, Han Solo is a simple man making his way through the galaxy with his big friendly dog. Preach, girl. They're essentially Shaggy and Scooby in space. All right. Prefer Solo to Rogue One. I'm going to give you a big hug when I meet you, Sid, for saying things like
Ah.
that. And then no more Tales of, I'm begging. So she's not a Tales. You guys don't like the animated stuff, do y'all? So,
We're not an animated Star Wars household, I'm afraid, controversial as that may be.
it
Ooh.
is controversial, my goodness. But yeah, that's it coming from Instagram over there. Um, yeah, this I was excited to get this information, but now I'm raging because of this information. I feel like this is how
Yeah, I feel like I'm so sorry. We've broken it down, and all I've done is rile you up.
it's all right. I mean, it is what it is. It's time for what, 2 weeks they said it's happening? In a week, 2 weeks? So
In a
maybe
week, next week.
that's it right there, Chuck. How else do you make an impact and you blow up the Star Wars universe? They take over and they got announcements. They have to, right? You just can't be like, "Hey, we're taking over and we have no ideas of what's going to happen." How about, "Hey, we're taking over and now the movie for 2028 is going to be this."
Yeah, I think I would like to see like the official statements of like Dave Filoni being like, "It is time. This is what you guys are getting." Like Marvel social media self-reference their own films all of the time and self-reference their actors, tweet their actors, like all of it is it's very, very self-referential. Star Wars doesn't do a lot of that. Yes, Brando, I will say respectfully, people who think Disney slash Star Wars slash Lucasfilm, etc., is dead are ridiculous. Stop being miserable.
Preach, Brando.
Preach, preach, preach. Again for the people in the back. I We shall just have to wait and see. This feels like a lovely exercise in just wait and see.
Wow, more of that, huh? I'm
Yeah, my
50 years old,
favorite.
Charlie. I don't have much more wait and see in me. I'm not going to be around for Star Wars' 100th anniversary. All right.
Oh my God, don't. That makes me sad to think about. That actually
Yeah.
makes me want to cry. I don't think I'll be here either.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah. Yeah. Dealing in absolute says she's bored of wait and see as well. Me too, Sid. Me
I
too.
know.
Let's
I
get some,
know.
let's be decisive. Let's make a decision, good or bad. You're allowed to make mistakes. Okay, folks. Like no one's perfect. Make a mistake, learn from it, move forward.
Hmm.
So, anyways, anything else, Chuck? Sorry, I got so ragey.
No, I've really honestly enjoyed this back and forth discussion. This has been really, really fun. I'm so glad we got to kind of cover it as it's sort of popular and kind of bubbling up in the news. It's nice to feel sort of like on it.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated about what's going to be happening next. I think it's a real powerhouse of a team to put together to push Lucasfilm forward. And like you say, I hope Filoni and Brennan are the ones to kind of pull the trigger a little bit faster, go a little bit harder. What's Sid saying?
She says, "Use the force, and you will." Um, they're talking about me being around for the 100th, and then Absolute says, "Let the hate flow through you."
Yes.
We know she leans a little to the dark side, so.
Mm,
So, but yeah, um, yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for a takeover because I didn't think Kathleen was doing a great job. I think she's made mistakes, as anyone will. I
hmm
don't feel like she's learned from them, obviously, with this interview. I feel like she's going out the door the same way she's been leading Lucasfilm, with saying a bunch of things and then not delivering on any of it. But I'm hopeful. Rebellions were
hmm
born on hope. So are fandoms, right? Fandoms are born on, or
Yeah.
born on hope. And let's see what happens in a week when they officially take over. That could be huge. And
Yeah.
that has been the light at the end of the tunnel, which is not Vader's lightsaber. Thank goodness.
Ah. So yes, Star Wars fans, eyes peeled, ears to the ground, and we'll see what happens in the next week.
Sounds good. So let's see what happens. I
Thank you to every single person who's joined us this evening, whether you popped in for a few minutes, whether you stayed for the whole thing. Thank you so much. We have thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Even
yes,
if I
thank
did
you
kind of
all.
just rile Jimmy up and now I'm off. Like it's fine. It's what friends are for.
Molly's gonna be so mad at you when I go upstairs. I'm like, "Rah, rage, rage."
Molly, I'm so sorry.
All right, folks. Stay awesome. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. If you're listening to
hmm
this later, we'd love to hear what you think. Um, yeah, other than that, I'm glad we got to do this, Chuck. It's fun to get to talk to you live.
Me too. I don't normally like going live. I get a bit anxious, but here we are. We had a good time.
Good time, good time. All right. Well, all right, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Only now, at the end, do you understand? Close your eyes.